Hi boys and girls, this week we're going to start with cause and effect in reading class. Cause and effect go together like a pair. Cause and effect is when one event causes or makes another event happen. So the cause is why something happens. So I'm going to put that on the left, why something happens. And the effect is what happens. So remember, like I said, they are a pair. So they go together as cause and effect. I'm going to give you some examples that you would find even in your own life. First one, cause. It is my birthday. The effect, we have cake. Okay. One event caused the other one to happen. Why something happened? It's my birthday. And what happened? We have cake. So I'll separate them. It is my birthday. We have cake. Cause and effect. Next one. She had a question. She raised her hand. Cause, why something happened? She had a question. So what did she do? What happened? She raised her hand. Okay, so I'll separate them. But they go together as a pair. She had a question, so she raised her hand. Next one. He lost the key. What happened because he lost the key? He couldn't get into his house. Okay, so why it happened? He lost the key. And what happened? He could not get in the house. Cause and effect. And the last one for my samples, it is raining. What happens? I use an umbrella. Cause, why something happens? Use an umbrella. What happens? Okay, they go together as a pair. Cause and effect. This can be organized in many different ways. One way that I have found that goes with a story I'm going to read you is set up with the main character in the middle. And our story this week is going to be Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. So here's a picture of Alexander in the middle. And we have the cause on the left and the effect on the right. Now, remember I said they are a pair. So I'm going to leave up some of these things to help us remember. The cause is why something happens. The effect is what happens. So an easy one for you to keep in mind, because everyone has one. Cause, it is my birthday. Effect, we have a cake. One cannot happen without the other. So we might not have a cake if it's nobody's birthday. So we'll keep that one as our sample. Why something happens? It's my birthday. What are we going to do about it? We're going to have a cake. All right, so let me quickly get set up for our story. I'm going to recreate this up on the board, but this is an organizer. Say, for example, we were in the classroom or you were working on this by yourself. This would be a great way to keep track of cause and effect. We would keep the cause on one side and the effect right across from it, because remember, they're a pair. So on my board here is Alexander. He's going to go right in the middle. And we're going to have some things, cause and effect in his story that we'll keep track of on our chart. So one more time before I start our story, the cause is why something happens. Effect, what happens. So let's find out in Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. As I read, I'll stop when we get to cause and effect. This is written by Judith Vorst, illustrated by Ray Cruz. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. So I'll stop right away. Cause. He woke up with gum in his hair and tripped on his skateboard. By mistake, the sweater got wet in the sink and the water was running. There's my cause. And the effect, what happened? He predicted it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. So I have my first cause, all those bad things that happened, and the effect, because those happened, he predicted that it was going to be a bad day already. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. I think I'll move to Australia. All right, so we have our next cause and effect. So his brother found the car kit, and his other brother found an agent ring, and all Alexander found was cereal. Because of this, the effect, he says he's just going to move to Australia. The cause, his brother's got something and he didn't. The effect, he's moving away. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I am going to be car sick. No one even answered. So, cause, everyone got a window seat except him. Effect, poor Alexander is smushed and he might get car sick. So everyone else got a window seat. He is scrunched, smushed, and car sick. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Mrs. Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. Already, Alexander's picture was invisible. He didn't really draw one. So the effect, his teacher liked Paul's better. This is almost a silly one. Cause, Alexander had an invisible picture. Effect, his teacher liked his classmates better. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend and that Albert Moyo was his next best friend, and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone and the ice cream part falls off, and the cone part, and it all lands in Australia. So the cause, Paul said that Alexander wasn't his friend anymore, or his best friend. So the effect, Alexander said he hopes Paul's ice cream falls off and lands in Australia. So remember, they are connected. One is happening because of the other. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. So his dentist said, come on back next week, have your cavity filled. And Alexander said, next week, I'm going to Australia. I'm getting out of here. He did not want to have that cavity filled. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby. So the elevator door closed on his foot and he got muddy. So Alexander began to cry. The cause, the door shut on his foot and he got muddy. Effect, he began to cry. While I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I'm having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one even answered. So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But then the shoe man said, we're all sold out. They made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. So why something happened? They were sold out of the shoe he wanted. The effect? He had to get plain white shoes. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as I could, except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said, please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. So Alexander and the brothers went to the office, and he started playing with his dad's copy machine and the telephone and knocked the books off the table. So that's why something happens. And what happens is Alexander's dad says, don't pick me up anymore. Too messy. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot, and I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. So before I finish, I'll stop there. Why something happened. They had lima beans for dinner. Then there was kissing on TV. He got soap in his eyes. The water was too hot. And he had to wear his railroad train pajamas. And the effect? Alexander's bad day continued even when he got home. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burnout, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says, some days are like that. So that is even in Australia. Okay, so now that we have finished, as you can see, there are many causes and effects in this story. Just want to remind you that they do go together. When one event causes something else to happen, we have a cause and effect. The cause is why something happens. The effect is then what happens. So, this week, you're going to be working on a couple of different activities, and today, this was just the lesson, so there's nothing you need to write down. But if you were working on something like this by yourself, this is one organizer you could use, and that's why I set it up on my board like that, so that you could see that they were across from each other, the cause, and then we have the effect. And all of those things were happening to Alexander. So I hope you enjoyed this story because we are going to do a couple more activities with it throughout the week.